So one of the things that you're going to need to be able to do is to filter your data in SPSS or any system that you're using. And so just to give you a sense of the data set that you have here, you have well over 60,000 cases. It's way more than you need, particularly for a lot of the things that we're going to do. And so what we want to do is we want to kind of begin to pare this down a bit. And so just to show you a very simple query, we're going to just query out the data from 2020 here. And we're going to go to data, select cases. It's an if condition. And census year equals 2020. Now I recommend that you use the buttons, and here's why. It will space things out appropriately for you. There's some cases where you can't use it, but know that you need a space between, for this particular syntax, you need a space between the equals and the number and the variable. And if you're typing, sometimes you forget that. And so even though I can type, I usually use the buttons. Click continue, click OK. And what happens is you now only have the data from 2020. And if we go down to the bottom of the data set, well, the other data is missing. Actually, you can see where it's been taken out. Visually, it's a little different than it was in the previous version. So so you've just got this filtered. And so that's the first part about filtering. But one of the things about filtering is you're going to need to think about your data itself. And so not all data comes clean. And so let's look at the variables for a minute. And obviously we looked at the year, which is numeric, and it's a scale measurement. But you have mortgage amounts, monthly gross rent, household income. You have a variety of variables in your data set. And for some of these, like marital status, this is nominal data, so it's not numeric. Although it appears like a number because each number represents a category. And so we'll be filtering on those categories as well, but not at this moment. And same thing's true of not just marital status, but also sex and what degree people have, and things like that. So I want to make sure you see that. So what happens a lot of times in the data in a data set is that if there's no response to a question, what it's listed at oftentimes is a series of nines. And so if I look at household income here and I sort it ascending, I have some zeros and negative values, which probably they're probably accurate, but I'm not sure that I want them in my data set. So I may filter those out. But if I go sort descending, I get all these 9999, 7 groups of 9. One of the things I know is that, and the same thing for house value here. One of the things I know is that when I have that, those are data values I want to filter out. So just to emphasize this point, I'm just going to quickly run some descriptive statistics. And one way you know this is wrong is because the mean income here is $615,000. That's not the mean income most places. And so that tells you immediately that something is wrong here. And so what you need to do is you need to filter that out. And we're just going to run some quick filters, and we're going to run a set of filters so you get them all at once. We're going to keep our filter here of year equals 2020. And I am just going to put parentheses around it to keep it separate. The query is an AND query. And what I want is household income and I'm going to put that in parentheses. Household income is greater than 0 and household income is less than 999,999. And I'm going to put in 0, and oftentimes there are other codes in there as well, and this kind of lets me miss some of those codes like 99998 or something like that. I'm going to add to this because I know that I've got a couple others like home value. So I'll make this an and. Home value is greater than 0 and home value is less than let's see, it's got 790 as well. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 0. And we're going to do mortgage amount. Is greater than 0. And I think mortgage amount doesn't have an upper level, but I can check that in a minute. And I'm just going to hit continue and OK. And we're going to see how this worked. So I've got mortgage amount somewhere here. And I'm just going to sort descending to make sure, yeah, that's a reasonable amount. Same thing's true here. I want to also look at transit time to work. That should be about right. We'll leave that. We'll use the other income variable. We won't use this one, but this is the total family household income. And the usual hours worked. I really just want people who are working. So 55 seems to be the upper limit on this. And then if I do it by ascending, I'll take out the zeros here. So I'm going to add that. Greater than 0. Continue. And then I'll click OK. All right. So I have a much smaller data set now. And one of the things is that it's a data set without 0 values. And I've made a decision that I want, people either to be working or paying a mortgage. I want that. If we're looking at mortgages, that's the case. I'm going to look at total income as I've chosen which income variable I want to use. And so I've made some real choices about what's going to go into my model. You're going to see more of this. I'm going to use this in the regression and the correlation pieces that we're going to look at later on. But that's how to filter your data and filter it effectively.